Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home of betting tips and analysis. Please do check them out for yourself. Got all of your betting tips and analysis under one roof on their site, like we do at ESBR with boxing. And yes, we've just reacting here with Elliot. The preview show, we're back, but not for a preview. We are in reaction mode here. What we have just witnessed as Anthony Yarde defeats Lyndon Arthur in their trilogy, 116 to 112, 115 to 113. He won it by unanimous decision on the scorecards. A good fight in spells. Yarde came on strong at the end. Arthur was definitely ahead in maybe the first half. But yeah, Elliot, your instant reaction to what we've just watched.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I was surprised. I thought Lyndon Arthur obviously started well, like you say. You said it off obviously video. We weren't recording that point. But you're talking about obviously the quality of his jab, the high quality of his jab, keeping Yarde at bay. And to be honest with you, I was surprised. I unexpected Yarde to come in and sort of take him sort of first half of the fight and get Arthur out. There, to be perfectly honest with you, so I was a bit shocked at the way it was going. But I think right man won. Right man won the decision. A good finish from Anthony Yarde in the end. And my thoughts are kind of a what's next. I was worried, obviously, when I was thinking if Lyndon Arthur wins this, then Anthony Yarde, what would be next for Anthony Yarde? But I still feel like now he's kind of won this. Some of those fights we've talked about wanting to see him in previously, they're still on the card. So yeah, I think right man won. I actually got the decision, but equally, I think the future fights as well are kind of the right man won for me as well. How about yourself?
Yeah, mate, I think it's one of them where you can say suppose we're surprised that I think we're more surprised because the rematch they had, Yarde was so much stronger, and it was
Mm,
hard to see. It was hard to see Lyndon Arthur. Every time I was thinking of this fight, I was thinking of basically a similar performance than what we got that time. Yes, Arthur won the
mm.
first fight by decision, and after 6 rounds here, it looked like that might have been on the cards again. Um, Jab was amazing. We know Lyndon Arthur has a brilliant jab. We know he always has done. He does have a really really underrated jab. It was just could he keep Yarde at bay? I think he was finishing combinations really well as well. Jabbing, but then when Yarde was trying to duck and weave and make his way in, he was getting clipped with some hooks and uppercuts and what have you on the way out from Lyndon Arthur as well. So I had him handily ahead. I had 4-2 ahead, most definitely, or five, maybe even 5-1 ahead at the halfway mark. But let's be honest, it maybe not even if it was round 7 or 8. From the round 9, maybe round 8, round 9 onwards, it was all Anthony Yarde, wasn't it? I mean, you can maybe make a case for Lyndon Arthur not losing the 12th and final round, but by that stage he had lost at least 3 or 4 in a row. The fight looked like it was going one way, and it's one of them where yes, you score fights round by round, but if someone won the first 6 rounds and someone's won the last 6 rounds, for argument's sake, more than likely you're going to give it to the person who's finished strong, aren't you? That's just kind of the way it goes.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't a surprise to me when they read out 115, 113. I was like, yeah, that's a good. I could see that card either way. And when it went 116 and 112 twice, I knew that Anthony Yarde had got it. And yeah, you're right, mate. It kind of I don't want to. I suppose instantly we're as boxing fans, we're looking ahead straight away. No matter within 30 seconds of that fight finishing, I'm already thinking about who I want to see Anthony Yarde in with next. And there's one man that kind of springs to mind. It's a fight that's been talked about for years. I feel like it's been talked about for both of their pro careers. And that is a man that has just shared the ring with Callum Smith. Came out on the wrong end of that, but it was a fight of the year contender. It was a grueling contest. It's an all London, British, all English, all London affair. Does Anthony Yarde against Joshua Buatsi do it for you?
It does do it for me. Does do it for me. I think you look at that division, that light heavyweight division, and obviously Paterbiev's not going to go on forever. But you look at Bivol and you think, I don't fancy any of those guys to beat Bivol, frankly. So like, I think really from a sort of matchmaking perspective, I'd like to see that kind of triplicate. That Callum Smith, Anthony Yarde, see those guys sort of fight each other just for a bit, maybe tie up the next 18 months doing that. So it does do it for me. Weirdly, like Buatsi for me came out of that Callum Smith fight with more respect possibly than I'd have given him previously. Like it's just the fact that he seemed to take the shots from Callum Smith. You've seen Callum Smith like really like concussively stop people and like really body people. And I was kind of expecting Buatsi to be slick and not to actually be caught as much as he was in that fight. So the fact that he was sort of caught quite a bit and actually managed to sort of withstand it for me actually stands him in good stead coming to this Anthony Yarde fight. I'm not sure which way I'd lean with it. I'm not sure which way I'd lean just because I think Anthony Yarde, I feel like And people have talked about this tonight, obviously on Twitter and X, formerly known as Twitter, talking about the link up with Tunde and like whether he should maybe go on to a different trainer and how he styled it. It seems to have stagnated a little bit, and I can kind of see that as well. To be honest with you, I can kind of see a world where Boatsi would win that on points. I can also see a world where maybe Yard would win on points. So for me, it would be a real 50-50, be a very tough one to call, but that is the one I want next. Absolutely. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that fight makes total sense for both necks as well. I think Anthony Yarde's not going to get a world title shot. Like if you look at it, and even on the British landscape, Callum Smith's ahead of him still. He's probably either going to fight Benavidez or get a shot at whoever, whatever happens with the belts. But you'd think that below them now you do have Yarde and Arthur. Sorry, Yarde and Boatsi sitting there with Lyndon Arthur just behind. Your Willie Hutchinsons and of this world just behind your Ben Whitaker coming up. So yeah, I think that's that's the fight I want to see next. I would personally right here right now back Joshua Buatsi to win it on points. Um, but equally, I think it's a tough fight to call. It would be really close. And yeah, it is definitely one that I want to see because we have been wanting it for years. And so how often do we talk about fights and then never see them?
How
So
how
put out
also
now,
how sort of the sort of stakes involved for Josh Boatsi though. If you lose
yeah,
to Anthony Yard and you've lost to Callum Smith, you're talking like where do you even go like from that
yeah,
position? That's almost not that I'm saying you'd be retired, but it's almost like you have to start a long way down to sort of try and bring yourself up against world title contention.
for sure, mate, absolutely. And just before we round off, I think we've got to touch on Lyndon Arthur as well. I mean, commendable performance there. Might feel hard done by a little bit. Might be kicking himself just at the way he didn't finish off very well. He was hurt in that 11th round, but definitely for me, can still definitely do a job. It's a matter of whether he wants to stick around and fight those guys coming up. So what was one name I did just mention there is Ben Whitaker. Is that a fight that if you're Ben Whitaker, you're sitting thinking, right, Lyndon Arthur's still right up there. He's been in world title contention before. He nearly got the job done in the trilogy against Anthony Yarde that we've just watched. Do you think that's a good fight for Whitaker? Equally, if you're Lyndon Arthur, are you wanting to almost look down towards those prospects? Or maybe another British fight with your, I don't know, Craig Richards of this world, your Willie Hutchinsons. What do you want to do, or what do you want to see Lyndon Arthur do next?
You know what? I mean, I hadn't even thought about Ben Whitaker fighting Lyndon Arthur before you mentioned this. So for me, when you were talking about it, it feels a bit like we were talking about the same narrative, another card on this fight, the Liam Smith McKenna fight. On paper, I'd look at it and go, that's way too far for Ben Whitaker at this stage of his career, possibly. But then equally, if Ben Whitaker comes through that and wins that fight, you're going, actually, you've propelled yourself almost kind of what, like 8, 9 positions up in the rankings at least or something, like to like in one fight. So I feel like Lyndon Arthur's not a big puncher either. So I feel like if Ben Whitaker were to lose that, I don't think it'd be one of those ones where you see a concussive knockdown and maybe takes like a lot of time out of his career. I think it'd be just a points loss. That jab, if he can get that jab, but obviously he's quick, isn't he, Ben Whitaker? So I actually don't think it's a bad matchup. If I'm Lyndon Arthur, I'm not sure I want that matchup, to be honest with you, though. I think if that matchup for me is one of those ones where personality wise, they're very different, aren't they? You think like Ben Whitaker just stick it on him in the build up, etc., would be quite stressful. I think if it's fighting someone maybe like a Willie Hutchinson, like a Craig Richards, and winning that fight almost kind of keeps you around. I think, yeah, keeps you around that level. I think if you lose to someone like Ben Whitaker, it drops you sort of significantly, I think, just given the stage he's at in his career at the moment. So for me, it's more high risk for less reward, frankly. So if I was him, I'd be looking at Richards versus or Hutchinson. But it'd be a hell of a fight that Ben Whitaker won for Ben Whitaker more so than Lyndon Arthur, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I'd still actually back Lyndon Arthur to beat Ben Whitaker right now, especially judging off that performance. I think his job would frustrate Ben Whitaker, but another 12 months down the line, I think it would maybe be a different story. But who knows? I don't think he needs to hang up his gloves for sure. I would still think he can do a job around that British European level. Definitely. So yeah, fingers crossed, mate. We see some of these fights that we've mentioned come to fruition in the coming months and years. Elliot, that's all we've got time for. That's just a reaction to what we've just witnessed as Anthony Yard ends his rivalry with Lyndon Arthur via unanimous decision victory in their trilogy on the Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn undercard at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As always, guys, please do subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already. Hit that like button. Follow us on socials. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. And yeah, we'll be back again very soon with more previews and everything that you want to see in the boxing world. Elliot, thanks for joining me. Speak to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching.